Well, that was a gorgeous song to introduce us to a gorgeous October day in New York and hopefully all over the nation and hopefully in Lake Placid, where my guest is zooming in from. And this is Mia's World. Welcome to my world. Welcome to the beautiful October season. Welcome to Lake Placid. Welcome to Mia's World. And it is a gorgeous world. That was one of my favorite singers in the world, Alexia Bontempo, Brazilian singer, singing "I'm in Love Again," and I am in love with the Adirondacks and nature, and the world seems beautiful today. That is a song by Peggy Lee, Cy Coleman, and Bill Schluger. And my guest today is Andrew Weibrecht. Am I pronouncing that correctly, Andrew?
Got it right. Yeah.
Ah, fantastic. Andrew Weibrecht is a professional skier, a racer, a commentator, a husband, a father, and the operations manager of a gorgeous inn in Lake Placid called the Mirror Lake Inn. I love mirrors, I love lakes, I love snow, and I love ice. So put it all together. And Lake Placid is where, are you living there too, obviously, right?
Yes. Yeah. No, I live here. I grew up here. So I'm the second generation of my family to run this hotel. So yeah, no,
All in the family.
yeah, I literally grew up on the property, went away, did my thing, ski racing for 16 years. And then I retired for about a week, and my dad said, you probably need a job because you've got 2 kids and another one on the way. So here I am.
Here you are. Well, we can't wait to hear about all of this and more, but first we just have a whole little section in Mia's World of fun stuff to get us in the mood of more fun. Today being October 11th, we have some trivia about today's date. So a few birthdays today. October 11th, 1844, the birthday of Henry John Heinz, founder of Heinz. I do love ketchup, so got salute to that. 1884, Eleanor Roosevelt, First Lady from 1933 to 45, big human rights advocate. 1906, Charles Revson, the American cosmetics mandate from Revlon. 1918, October 11th, the birthday of Jerome Robbins, the American choreographer famous for West Side Story, amongst others. 1919, October 11th, birthday of Art Blakey, the American drummer. 1926, Thich Nhat Hanh, a Vietnamese Buddhist monk, teacher, peace activist, and writer. 1966, the actor Luke Perry, famous for Beverly Hills 90210. 1967, comedian Artie Lang, a lot of you may know him. 1968, actress Jane Krakowski, and 1992, October 11th, Cardi B, the American rapper. A few things that happened in history on this day, October 11th, 1927, New York Yankees first baseman Lou Gehrig was named American League MVP. 1936, the Professor Quiz was the first radio quiz show that premiered. 1939, Albert Einstein informed FDR of the possibilities of an atomic bomb. Unfortunately, hitting too much at home here. 1944, the film release of Laura, directed by Otto Preminger with Gene Tierney. 1975, the premiere of Saturday Night Live on NBC. The first show was hosted by George Carlin. 1981, then unknown musician Prince Rogers Nelson, Prince, opened for the Rolling Stones at the LA Coliseum. In 1983, the last hand-crank telephones went out of service as 440 telephone customers in Bryant Pond, Maine were switched over to direct dial. In 1984, the first spacewalk by the US woman, Dr. Catherine D. Sullivan. 2006, 30 Rock premiered on NBC with Tina Fey and Alec Baldwin. And 2020, French Open men's tennis, Rafael Nadal beat Novak Djokovic. I hope that's the right pronunciation. And it was his 13th French singles title. Today's holidays: National Coming Out Day, National Face Your Fears Day, National Sausage Pizza Day, International Day of the Girl Child, Southern Food Heritage Day, and It's My Party Day. And one of my signature pieces is that we always rhyme the news on Mia's World every week to get the gloom out, turn the gloom into bloom, or something like that. So here's this week's rhyming news. Is it really the end zone? Will Tom Brady go it alone? And will the divorce get ugly? Of course. Will he throw Giselle a bone? Housing migrants on a cruise ship? Was that a mayoral blip? Eric Adams reversed that plan, which was cursed. Come on, man, get a grip. The Norwegian line is out, but other options, no doubt. Like the Carnival cruise, will it shake the blues so the city will not pout? Who's doing TikTok karaoke? Chicago's mayor, no jokey, as the city's crime is rising with time. Lori Lightfoot says, okie dokie. Paris Fashion Week, is it crass or is it chic? Kanye West put to the test controversy at his peak. With his White Lives Matter shirt, was it meant to provoke or flirt? He got lots of flack from front to back. Did it backfire or convert? It's Southern Food Heritage Day, so fry those chickens away. Pass the black-eyed peas and grits, if you please. Now where is my Chardonnay? And that is our rhyming news wrap-up of the week. And welcome back to Mia's World. Welcome. Thank you so much. Welcome to Jade Zabrich, my editor and engineer. Wonderful. Interesting that it's Southern Food Week, or Day rather, because Jade just moved south to Virginia. Anyway, back to our show, Mia's World. So my guest today is Andrew Weibrecht from the Mirror Lake Inn in Lake Placid. And I was inspired, I guess, to do a show about Lake Placid and the Mirror Lake Inn because 75 years ago, my parents went up, Harold and Ann Berman went up to Lake Placid for their honeymoon, which was December 21st, 1947. And that happened to be the year of the blizzard of 47. I don't know, Andrew, if you heard about that. You probably did. Too young to remember that, but I'm sure your parents might have heard of that. And so I have so many wonderful pictures and memories of them skiing with skis and frozen lakes and hotels, and they talked a lot about Lake Placid, and they just fell in love with it regarding just the beauty of it. And I guess they conquered the blizzard, but so in honor of them, they have passed, but in honor of them, I thought it would be lovely to do a show about the Mirror Lake Inn and Lake Placid. So here we have the head of, I don't know how to say it properly, Andrew, is it, you're the operations manager, but you're really the head of the place, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have obviously we're a fairly big resort at this point, so we have a good sized team that does everything. We have a spa and we have 2 restaurants and everything else that goes around with it. So, my family has owned and operated the resort since 1976. We took it over from a family before that, so it's been family since the beginning. Yep, the Wyckoff family.
Right.
And so, my parents, to the extent that they can, have stepped back a little bit, and I'm here more on the day-to-day, which has been great. I mean, it's been great for me. I've really enjoyed the opportunity and the experience. But it's been great for them because they don't have to be here 24/7 like they did for years and years.
Exactly. It's kind of like the restaurant business, although you have restaurants in the inn, but it seems like a massive responsibility to be the head of an inn. I mean, there's so much that goes into it. First, one of my first questions is, why did your parents go into that business? Were they just always enamored of hotels or inns? Or
Well, yeah, my mom came to the area. She's from down near Albany, so she came to the area. She was actually a luger, so like the ice luge sledding. So she came up here, was doing luge, and went to Paul Smith's College up here, which used to be a really large hospitality and culinary school. They've kind of transitioned from that in more recent years, but so that's what brought her up here. And she had a pizza place and a bakery. And my dad came up, actually. He worked for AT&T and MCI he was in White Plains. He's originally from northern New Jersey and was living down there. And he was an engineer, or I suppose he is an engineer, but he was also an avid skier and would come up here and ski instruct on the weekends. So his goal was to try to figure out a way that he could leave his life down there and start a life where he could ski every day. And he's soon to be 79 years old. He still skis, 3 or 4 times a week. So that's been his past 46 years living in Lake Placid, has been centered around what can I do and ski every day, and cut out a living up here, because it's, we always joke that it's, if you're not in logging and you're not in the prison industry, you're in the hospitality industry. So that's what we do. But
Well,
yeah.
can you explain a little bit, because I remember asking you about this. I'm very big on geography and locations and okay, Lake Placid is a village or a town?
Yeah.
Village.
So Lake Placid is a village in the town of North Elba.
Okay.
So the original town, and you kind of heard about it historically, because North Elba was where John Brown, the abolitionist who stormed Harper's Ferry and kind of kicked off the Civil War, he was from here, and he had this grand vision of turning Lake North Elba into basically a mecca for freed slaves. Obviously, he died short of that in the war, and yeah, so that's sort of where the town began. And then geographically, we're 5 hours straight north of New York City. So leaving Manhattan. Yep.
It seems like it's farther. The Adirondacks, which is where Lake Placid is, correct?
Yes, we're in the Adirondack Park.
And it just seems it seems far. It just seems far.
Well, it is. The Adirondacks themselves are 6 million acres of wild forest. So it's, once you get north of Lake George, which essentially, when you're coming north from Albany or New York, that's where the park starts, and you drive through the park for another about hour and a half before you actually reach Lake Placid. And there's not much between Lake George and where we are. So it's
a lot of forest, a lot of
a lot of forest. And then as you get further north, you get into the High Peaks region. So that's where you get into the mountains, and mountains over 5,200 vertical feet. So it's a different world up here.
Oh my God, I know. I just love trees. And so the whole image of it is just so intriguing. Why do you think Mirror Lake Inn stands apart from the other hotels or inns in Lake Placid? Because I've seen these gorgeous, gorgeous pictures, the stone fireplaces, the elk, or is it moose, or is it deer?
We've got a few of each.
Really just spectacular views, and the wood and the carvings and the framed pictures of the Olympics. It's just massive, and it's so lush and gorgeous, and yet very down to earth. It doesn't seem, it's not at all garish or crazy. It's just beautiful. So my question still is, why is that place seemingly so different, and why does it stand out?
I think part of it, to me, hospitality is 25% physical plant and 75% staff and execution. And I think the fact that we've been family run from the beginning of this property, its existence, it's been family run, and there's a certain level of care that goes into a property that has a family member there that's truly invested in the operation and the physical plant on a day-to-day basis. We were talking about geography, and we're really the single luxury property that is on Mirror Lake. So there's two lakes in Lake Placid. There's Lake Placid proper, which is kind of off to the side of town, and there's Mirror Lake that the town and the main street are built around. So we're the one luxury property that's on Mirror Lake itself. We're about 300 yards from the edge of Main Street. So we're really close. We're within walking distance to all the shopping and the different restaurants that are down there, but we're not on it. So it's a bit quieter, and we have our own lake frontage. We have our own private beach and all that. So it's really just a great spot. And, a lot of care has gone into the property throughout the years.
Well, yeah, it's certainly, you can see it from the pictures are spectacular. Can you talk a little bit about the Olympic Arena? There's the famous Olympic Games from 1932 and 1980, correct? Were set in Lake Placid.
Yeah. So the first Winter Olympics held in the United States, or in North America, were in Lake Placid. And then the games came back 48 years later, in 1980. And that was sort of the beginning of the modern Olympic era, where the Olympics were becoming a larger event. So Lake Placid was kind of in this transition period where it was going from, a small athlete driven type of event to sort of the grand spectacle that you see with the games now. So very unique in that way. And
And like,
obviously, I mean, the most, what's that?
the famous Miracle on Ice hockey.
Yeah, exactly. The
Right.
famous Miracle on Ice. And that's what everybody remembers. I think the two things from those games were the Miracle on Ice game and then Eric Heiden, the American speed skater who won 5 gold medals. And coincidentally, my dad was here in 1980 and he happened to be sitting next to Eric Heiden
Oh my
at
God,
the Miracle on Ice game. So,
really?
yep.
Oh, hope he has a picture of that.
It was before cell phone cameras, unfortunately.
Right, exactly. Well, it's got the memory in his brain. That's incredible. So do you think that most people come more like winter sports, skiing, skating, or the summer, and the fall is so gorgeous too? It's like, what do you think people, or do people come all seasons?
Really, we're an all-season resort and have more so become an all-season resort through over time. The whole area as a resort community started in the early 19th century, and it was really for people much like the Catskills, for people from New York City to escape the sweltering heat in New York City during the hot months. So, and even when I was a child, there was a lot of we had a lot of guests that would come up and stay the entire summer, and that's obviously changed over time. But the summer continues to be a really popular period, and obviously the fall foliage season, which we're in the thick of right now, is just, I mean, it's tremendous. The views and the colors and everything around here this time of year is exceptional. And then with the legacy of the Olympics, that's really when Lake Placid became a winter resort. And, it truly is magical in the winter. We have the
There's
lake.
a bobsled and a luge track.
There's a bobsled and a luge track right on the lake. The lake in the winter is really the hub of the town. There's a skating track that goes all the way around the lake that the town maintains. And then all the different hotels on the lake have their different rinks, and there's dog sleds running on the lake all the time. And the far end of the lake, there's a toboggan chute, which is, it's a big slide that you take a toboggan down and it spits you out across the ice. So really cool, unique stuff. I mean, it's really one of a kind. And there's been a lot of investment from the state recently to upgrade the venues. So when you come up here, I mean, yeah, we're actually this winter we're hosting the World University Games, which is the largest athlete event, multi-sport athlete event outside of the Olympics. So it'll be about 2,500 athletes and officials from all over the world will be here in January. And that's where a lot of the upgrade to the venues came. And those upgrades also, we'll be hosting our first ski jumping World Cup. So it's the first ski jumping World Cup in North America since Vancouver was getting ready for their Olympics in 2009. So very exciting time up here, and a lot of the sports legacy is starting to come back, which is obviously very near and dear to my heart.
Well, how do you sleep? I mean, you have an inn to run, you have young kids, a family, a wife. Like, when do you sleep? Or do you?
I think the kids pretty much cover the sleep thing. It's not much of an option. So
Yeah, I know. But you seem to have so much energy. Some of the hotel packages that I was reading about sound pretty intriguing. There's Adirondack guides, there's girls getaway, there's stay 4, get 5th night free, there's ski with Olympic medalist Andrew Weibrecht. Oh my God. I didn't know you have a medal.
I have 2.
2 for the racing, the downhill racing.
Yeah.
And then there's a culinary weekend coming up in November with the Carriage House Cooking School. There's so much going on. I feel like it's college and you have to go through all the courses, and how am I going to choose one?
Right.
How anybody chooses anything. It's just amazing. I guess also another question I had was, so do you miss the racing, the skiing? I mean, or do you do a fair amount of it anyway and you sort of integrate it into your innkeeping?
Yeah, I still get out a bit. I'm not, part of the rub for me with racing towards the end of my career was that I had kids and I wanted to be home. And so, for me as an athlete, when I stopped being fully into it like that, where I wanted to go and be on the road, and my attention was split, it became a pretty easy decision to decide to hang it up and start doing something different. My second daughter was born in 2018, so I went through that Olympics and then quickly decided that I was going to be done. And that certainly there's aspects of it that I miss. We used to spend the whole summer on the road. We'd go down and train in New Zealand and train in Chile, and
Wow.
um,
Wow.
spent a ton of time in Europe. So I had the opportunity to travel a lot, but I'm as much as I loved it, every single time that I go on a trip, I
Couldn't
would
wait
get
to come
north of
back.
what's that?
Couldn't wait to come home.
Exactly. I mean, I would get north of Lake George after flying into Albany, and it was like a weight was coming off of me because really, to me, and I've been to some special places, but this one's as special as any of them, and in a lot of ways unique in ways that the others are not.
Yeah, home is where the heart is, and
Yeah,
you're home.
exactly.
But you also told me that you do commentaries or commentating for NBC's. Is it NBC?
Yep, yep.
So where do we hear that?
The
When?
well, during the winter, so it'll start up here. And there's a couple of us ex-retired athletes that do it. So that typically starts up around Thanksgiving and runs all the way through the winter. So
So you do that from home, from
I so I used to have to go to Stanford, and like we're talking right now, everything with the pandemic made it so that they had to figure out a solution. So rather than drive down to Connecticut to call a race at 2 o'clock in the morning, now everything's done remotely, or a large part of it's done remotely. So it's kind of perfect. I go and I commentate, and then I get done and change my clothes and go serve breakfast. So
now are
all I
you
have to do is walk downstairs.
that's perfect. What do you live at? Do you live in the inn?
We live on the property
On
behind
the
the inn,
property?
but I usually commentate from the hotel so I don't wake the kids up.
That's so cute. And do you make a present? Do you intermingle with the guests a lot, or do you stay apart?
No, we do a lot. We're as a family, we're on the property pretty much every day,
You-
throughout the day. So
And your wife is Denja?
Denya, yeah,
And yeah,
yep. So she works for the business as well, and right now, being the time of year it is, being as busy as we are, I think I've been doing breakfast for the last 14 days. So
well, you're not preparing the breakfast, right?
no, I don't cook it, but I clean it up and serve it and pour coffee, and it gives me an opportunity to really interact with the guests. And it's a fun part of it that there's a lot of aspects to the hospitality business, and that's one that I really enjoy because it's just a personal moment that you can have with people. And um
I know. I mean, where I went to Cornell, big hotel school,
yeah, yeah,
that's what all of us joke from Cornell. It's like, well, we should have gone to the hotel school. We all would have had jobs,
right.
real jobs. But the appeal of hospitality business, it's just enjoying some time that you get to have on a vacation or with friends or with family. It's such precious moments together and celebrating those moments. And it makes such a difference, the personality of the innkeeper or the hotel manager and the staff. So how do you choose staff? Do you choose them, or do you have designated people, or
In a lot of ways they choose us. We're very fortunate to have the staff that we have. Especially right now, I think the pandemic's been very difficult on the hospitality industry in terms of staffing. So we're very fortunate to have the staff members that we have. And we vet them very heavily, but we have a very high level of staff, and they're all experts in their field. And, and then we also have a certain number of J1 visa workers, student visa workers that'll come over in the summer and in the winter. So we have
Ah,
a group from Bosnia that typically come over in the summer. And then we
Bosnia.
have a group, yep. And then
Wow.
a group from South America, Peru, Argentina in the winter when they're on their summer break.
Right,
Yep.
right. The seasons are
Yeah.
different. That's incredible. And do you yourself or you and your wife interact with a lot of them before you
Oh,
come?
we interact with all of them, just by virtue of operating the hotel that we do. I mean, we're very hands-on, and so we have a role, while we have managers that have their specific roles, we're kind of bouncing around based on what the need is on any given day. So whatever needs to be done gets done, and we're usually the ones that fill in that hole. So hence serving breakfast or cleaning rooms. It doesn't really matter if there's somebody that needs to be serviced. We're sort of the fill-in people. So, by virtue of that, we have the opportunity to really get to know the staff and interact with the staff. And I think it creates a great environment where they really feel like, we're part of the family and they're part of the family. And that's what has created a great staff for us that has had the longevity. I mean, we've had staff members with us since well before I was born, 40
Really?
years, some of them. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, it's the loyalty, and people love to go back to places that are tried and true, that they love. It's one thing to experiment and have an adventure with a new place, but when you love a place, just
Yes.
want to go back, and it's going to be great, right?
Right.
That's
Yep.
so good. I mean, now I'm getting hungry. What's a typical breakfast there?
Probably our most popular thing is the Adirondack flapjacks. Uh,
Oh,
so and those are an original recipe. Clymena Wyckoff, who was the matron before my family, was an
right.
incredible chef, and she did all the cooking. And that's one recipe that has transcended all the changes and continues to be one of our signature dishes. But
Oh,
we have breakfast in our fine dining restaurant.
you have
So
two restaurants,
we
correct?
do, yeah. So we have the View, which is our fine dining, and we do breakfast service in there, and obviously dinner. And it's a 4 diamond, triple A 4 diamond restaurant. And then across the street we have the Cottage Cafe, which is right on the water.
Oh,
It's kind
nice.
of an old structure, one of the original structures on the property that my dad converted from 4 hotel rooms into a bar when he first came here. And it's the best. I mean, if you're any closer to the water, your feet would be in it. And got a great atmosphere and a beautiful deck and patio. So it's probably everybody in town's favorite place to go to after skiing or something like that, and get nachos or a sandwich and have a drink. It's
Oh,
it's
man,
pretty great.
sounds incredible. Now, so what is the village like? Is there a downtown? I mean, I really don't know it. And
Yeah, we have so between basically where the Mirror Lake Inn is all the way to the Olympic Center is our main street downtown area. So that's where all the shops, there's a number of hotels right on there, but a lot of restaurants and shops, and our historic movie theater from not 1910, or they used
really,
to they used to do silent films in there, and they still have the organ. So they have a silent film festival there, which is
oh,
just the biggest hoot, and they bring a organist up. And then at the far end of Main Street is where the Olympic Arena is. So the skating rink and the hockey rink. And then just outside of that is where the Olympic Oval is. So that town cluster,
speed skating
the
oval.
speed skating oval. Yep.
Okay,
Yep. So
okay.
the ice sheets are inside, and the oval is actually, it's unique. It's the only oval that's outdoors. And so it's refrigerated. And then a couple miles away are, the ski jumps are on the outskirts of town. And then the bobsled luge track by, the Nordic Center, the cross country ski and biathlon center are out that direction too.
So do you think that most families spend more time in the inn because it looks so cozy? It's like the ski bunnies, they don't,
Yeah.
they just stay at the lodge near the fireplace. Right? Or do most people go for the sports, do you think? Or is it sort of a combination?
I think it's a combination, and I think that's one of the things that makes Lake Placid so unique to other ski towns is that if you go to a ski town, you're there to ski. If you come to Lake Placid, you can go skiing, we have incredible skiing. We actually have the largest vertical drop at Whiteface Mountain, east of the Mississippi. So it's the tallest amount of skiing that you can do until you hit Colorado. So from that aspect, we have incredible skiing, but we also have all the other things that make Lake Placid great. We have the lake with all the skating and the dog sledding, plus all the venues. So, it's really a mix. Some people come and stay in the hotel and use the spa and dine, and you can make a whole weekend or a week out of that. Some people like to come and go skiing, go hiking, and then come and use the spa and dine. And, so it really just depends on what people love. I would say a lot of our guests don't leave the property, especially in the summer, because we have all our boats here and we have our private waterfront. So there's really,
For swim-
unless you're going out for something specific, there's not a lot of reason to leave.
I don't think I would be leaving either. I mean, it's hard for New Yorkers or people in big cities to imagine the contrast, but so many people have been leaving the city, as you well know, and that's one of the places I've heard people have moved to.
Yeah.
Has the population grown lately in the last few years?
It has, yeah, definitely with the pandemic, the number of people that have moved up here, and I think a lot of them moved up part-time and then realized how great the lifestyle is up here and just the access to so many great things that they reconfigured their life and decided to stay.
Yeah, I know. And where do you get your food sources from? In neighboring areas or farms or
For
for the
our
dining?
restaurants,
Yes.
yeah, we work with a large number of local farmers and vendors. So there's a number of local creameries, where we get a lot of our cheeses from.
Uh-huh.
There's a bunch of farms and distilleries and breweries. So we, as much as we can, we always try to source what we can from the local area, both to support the economy and because it's just better stuff. And so,
I know.
we try to get what we can from around here. We have this time of year, it's great. We have tons of orchards and pumpkin farms and things like that. So there's also that side of it, that we get a lot of great fresh fruit and produce from those farms.
Oh my God. I'm just thinking about the maple syrup with the flapjacks. That's all I'm thinking about, right? Well, I remember I went to summer camp at White Blue Mountain Lake.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's
That far, right?
it's not that far from us. Yeah.
I mean, I remember it was far, but I remember how gorgeous it was. And you just, there's no comparison to an urban area versus that,
Yeah.
you just can't compare them. That's it. I don't even know. I don't know how, it's interesting how people choose locations for vacations too, because people will travel, as you well know, far and wide to go to a place they love. Like, do people have people come? I'm sure you have people from Europe too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Especially before the pandemic, we used to have a lot more travel's gotten more difficult. So it's definitely, there's been a shift, at least in the short term, where there was a lot of people from the New York City metropolitan area that were looking for a place where they could get outside and enjoy the mountains. And, maybe they had traditionally gone out to Jackson Hole or Sun Valley or something like that. And they looked at a map and realized that, wow, I don't even need to leave New York State and I can go to the mountains. I can
Well,
go to
yeah,
the lakes and the rivers. So
I know. Well, remember that whole "I Love New York" campaign, right?
yeah.
That wasn't that long ago, right?
No.
Not in your own backyard, but you don't have to move states to find something absolutely gorgeous. And Denya, is she from New York also?
She's actually, yeah, she's from Lake Placid as well.
Oh, she
Uh,
is.
so we grew up together,
Oh,
and she's a dual citizen Norwegian. So her father was an Olympic ski jumper.
oh my God.
He jumped in the 1968 Olympics in Grenoble,
Oh,
and met a young lady who is my now mother-in-law over in Oslo when he was jumping over there, and brought her back over here, and that's that's it.
what a merging of of sports families, right?
Right.
That's incredible. So what is the weekend like when they have ski with yourself?
Yeah.
So how does that package work?
That's sort of that's, I would say, an add-on that if people would like to spend a day or a couple hours skiing with me, we go and meet at Whiteface, and I love Whiteface. I think it's some of the best skiing in the country.
Wow.
And so to have the opportunity to share that with people and give them my background as it relates to that venue and all of that is really fun. I mean, it's exciting. It's fun for me. And again, I mean, it's a great way to get to know the guests that stay here and to be able to spend some time with them and connect with them on a really, deeper level than you usually get to in this type of business. So it's fun. And
Yeah.
it gets done at skiing. It beats doing spreadsheets in the office. So
And what about this culinary weekend getaway? That's November 4th through the 6th, in about less than a month, actually.
yeah.
So that is, let's see, the chef is Curtis Hem,
Yes. Yep.
and he's doing something regarding the Greek table. What is that?
So Chef Curtis, actually, he's been doing culinary weekends with us for a number of years. And last year we were looking for, and he had been running the Carriage House Cooking School, which was his own business. And then last year we were looking for a new chef and reached out to Curtis to see if maybe he could give us a reference, and he said that he might be interested. So it went from being a twice a year guest chef here to do the culinary weekends to he now runs our food and beverage department. So we're very, very lucky to have him, and he continues to do the culinary weekends because they're so popular. And it's a weekend of demonstration and teaching where he goes and takes people into a room and just shows them based on one theme. Like you said, this one's Greek table, I believe. The last theme was spring in Paris. So he chooses a culinary theme and then dives into that and teaches a number of dishes for that particular that
So,
session.
so in other words, the Greek table would be Greek recipes,
Exactly. So
not just the philosophy of the Greek table.
no. It would. I mean, it is partially philosophy, but also he does real life demonstrations, and it's a great event, and people enjoy. It's one full day of classes plus usually on Sunday he does a brunch class while people eat. So it's a very immersive,
Learning, you're
hands-on
eating.
type experience. Yeah.
That's really fun. I mean, how does he I wonder how he chooses the theme. I guess it's just what he
I
wants,
He'll
passion of
never
the
tell, I'm
moment.
sure. Yeah. Great secret.
Wow, that's unique. Is there what is the population of Lake Placid like? Is it very international or?
So we have a very yes, I mean it in a word, yes, it's quite international. There's a very large German and Swiss population here. There's
Mhm.
a lot of people that came over, you know, during World War I or during World War II, and they typically all went to New York City. That was sort of the first port of call. And then from there, they were trying to find a place that represented what they had left. And this became a very popular spot for people to settle. So we have that cultural, that that group of people that has come over and sort of created a culture here. And then
Mm.
we actually, during the Bosnian, Kosovo, Serbian war in Yugoslavia, we had a large population of Bosnians and Serbians come over. So that sort of creates the connection of where our student workers come from.
Right.
So yeah, so there's from that standpoint, there's a lot of European influence in this town.
Wow. And I'm also interested in, you talked about the Silent Film Festival, about the cultural part of Lake Placid. Like, is there a musical scene, music scene?
There is, yeah. Yeah, so we have one of the longest running summer sinfoniettas up here. So that's been, oh gosh, I can't even tell you how many years. But that was one of the things that started back in the Lake Placid Club days, so the early 1900s. And then we have a weekly concert, free concert in the park. And then the Lake Placid Center for the Arts has a ton of programming that they do throughout the summer. They do this year, they did their second year of an outdoor music festival. That was actually Emmylou Harris was the headliner for it. So it was fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah, there's a great music scene, plus a lot of local music, local and regional music that comes to the area, does concerts, and we have a beautiful band shell right in the middle of town.
Local singers or songwriters, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Any jazz?
Yeah, there was a jazz festival for a number of years, but there's a lot of the summer concerts are jazz musicians. They try to incorporate a different mix of genres, and there's always a couple different jazz shows. And then the Lake Placid Center for the Arts, they do a lot of jazz type stuff in there as well. So actually David Sedaris was here. He did a show last night. So
where?
yeah.
Is there a certain center like that they do?
Yeah, so there's an art center.
Okay.
That
in town, in the village.
Yes, yeah. And we've had New York City Ballet has been up here, and lots of great shows for the size of the town. I definitely punch above our weight in terms of some of the arts that come through the town.
Yeah. And remember the movie Lake Placid? Was that actually filmed there?
No,
it was not.
No, there was one line in the movie that said, we tried to name this town Lake Placid, but apparently that name was already taken someplace in New York. So no alligators.
And there's in your inn. Well, first of all, what about your kids? Are they too young to sort of have favorite parts of the inn? Do they trek around the inn at all, or do
They like the bakery.
They like the bakery.
Our baker Paul is their best friend.
Oh, so there's a bakery on the premises?
We within our kitchen, we do all of our desserts and things like that in-house. And our famous Mirror Lake Inn chocolate chip cookies, which are out all the time.
Oh no, coffee, tea, and chocolate cookies. Okay. Is there a special dessert that you're fond of over there? Keep coming back to the food, right?
Oh, there's one that I tried that they just put on the menu, which is a pumpkin mousse with a ginger snap cookie on it.
Very autumnal.
Oh, it was great. But probably my favorite year round. We actually, so we have our Mirror Lake Inn cookies, which are always at the front desk next to the coffee and the tea, like you said. But they actually make one as a dessert where they put one in a skillet, put it in the oven, bring it out hot, and put ice cream on it. And I can't not get it every single time I come to dinner here. It kills me.
Discipline is good, but up to a point, right?
Yeah, exactly. We all have limits.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Let's see, what else did I want to ask you about? Well, some of the pictures, there's a library there. Is it an actual library, or is it just called the library where you can sit and read, or there are books, actual books?
We do have a lot of books, and that's where a lot of the animal mounts are that you saw in the pictures.
Yes, that
moose and our bison and
the stone fireplace.
Yes, and so that's an original fireplace. The main building had a fire in 1989. So a lot of the building's been recreated in the vision of the original lodge. And but that is one of the original parts of the property, is that library, fireplace, and sitting area. And that really is kind of the center hub of the property.
So
Right.
people sit and
That
read.
is our-
Are you allowed to
Yeah,
drink coffee in there, or
absolutely.
you are,
Coffee or wine or
or whatever?
whatever you need. Yep.
That's nice, as opposed to, because I have a library degree, and most libraries, they don't want you to drink coffee in there.
Most people bring their own books now, so.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, and what is your what is Denya? Does she have a specific favorite activity there, or responsibility there?
So she primarily works in the restaurant. That's probably her, and again, she's a very personable person, and she enjoys the interaction with the guests. So you usually see her in the dining room or down on the beach with the kids, playing with the guests, just being there, and kind of creating that feeling of not creating, but just being there to be a part of the property. And she's become a fixture with a lot of the families, and it's fun, much in the same way that I grew up, where I spent
Your
my
parents,
summers on that beach, and I had friends that would come up year after year, and it was exciting to see them. My kids are able to have that experience too, where they get to play with the other kids, and especially coming out of COVID, that's such a fun experience for them, where everybody was kind of boxed away for a while, and now it's great to be able to let everything breathe a little bit more, and
yeah,
spend some
absolutely.
time.
And are you friendly? Is the community friendly? Are the different hotels friendly with each other, or they're more rivals, would you say?
No, no, we're very friendly with each other, and to a lot of the hotels are family run up here. So the generational aspect of it comes back, where the hoteliers that my dad was interacting with, their kids have now taken over those hotels. And so and they're also kids that I went to high school with and grew up with. So it's kind of a fun thing, where there's this intergenerational feel. And I think everyone up here understands that it's kind of a rising tide lifts all ships type thing. And if we work together and make Lake Placid itself a nicer destination to be at, then it's really good for everybody. Nobody loses in that case.
No, that's a nice thing about hospitality, and about your business, and attracting.
Well, in small towns, it
Yes,
really is.
exactly. It's not
We're
like,
a town of about 1,500 people, so everybody knows everybody. And
is that all? Wow,
yep, yep.
1,500. And what about the village? The village.
Well, the village is 1,500. Yeah, the
Uh-huh.
town's a bit bigger. That extends all the way over to Saranac Lake, which is the next town over.
Right, right. Another lake, another big
Yep.
lake. And that's, what county is that? What county are you in?
We're in Essex County.
Essex.
Yep.
Okay. Now I've got it straight. The village, the town,
The county. Yeah.
county, the country. Well, I think that this has been really delightful talking to you, and
Nice.
it's very nostalgic in a weird way, because I was never there, but just hearing about it from my parents, and now you have taken over a lot from your parents, and just the whole idea of family and memories, creating memories at beautiful locations, and just, these are things that are priceless, and that your kids will remember forever. And it's just a very beautiful thing to talk about, nature, and families, and just relaxation, and in a gorgeous environment, and
Yes.
to worry about honking horns in New York City.
Not too many. No.
No. Well, thank you so much to Andrew Weibrecht, and thank you to the Mirror Lake Inn. And one day I'll get there. Yeah.
I hope you do. And thank you for having me on your show. It's really a pleasure.
Oh, it's so much fun, Andrew. Thank you so much. I think that we're going to go out now of the show. We'll show some more images of the inn. And we're going to play a duet that, actually, in honor of my father's birthday, which is September 21st. He played jazz piano. That's why I was asking about the jazz. and I play recorder. So this is a duet that we played together, and it's called Tenderly. So some tender moments, some tender memories, and some music. And thank you so much, Andrew Weibrecht. And thanks for joining Mia's World, and go out and go back up to the forest country and the Adirondacks and check out Lake Placid and the Mirror Lake Inn. And here's Tenderly. Thanks for listening to Mia's World.